Hey everybody, it's Emily, the Crazy Worm Lady. I'm here today with the urban worm bag, which has not been fed in like a week and a half now because I'm behind on my updates. But I like to show you guys the climbers before we really get into it. So there is moisture and condensation here inside the lid, but it's not like dripping off. It's just definitely moist, so we'll have to make sure we use plenty of bedding today. But man, they're doing a number in this bin. I mean, absolutely blowing me away. I've had to recruit some more people to get scraps for me because all of my worms are just going through the scraps so quickly. But this really feels, even though there's a lot of moisture on the lid, this feels perfect. It is so flaky. I could literally just take a handful of this and throw it through a sieve and would have absolutely gorgeous castings. So I'm actually not overly worried about the moisture. There's one of our night crawlers, because as you guys know, we have blue worms in here as well as night crawlers. And they're well spread out, which actually in a CFT system like this, that's really what you want. And I'm not going to dig super deep because I'm hoping to do another harvest relatively soon, and I need it to stay nice and compact in the bottom for it to work properly. But they're tearing these rags to shreds everywhere you look. I don't see many bugs in here. I could be wrong. I'm sure there's some in here, but not seeing them in high numbers at least. Which makes me think that to a degree overfeeding probably doesn't help the population of some of the bugs I get in my systems. But they also have to be fed, and I like to challenge the systems, so I have to invite some of that. But yeah, the moisture is very consistent throughout the system here. The worms are everywhere, so I think we'll definitely just give a nice feeding across the top today. Cover it with all of this bedding, maybe add a little bit of dry bedding underneath the feeding. But these worms are just looking great. So let's get them fed up. It's been a while. I'm sure they are hungry, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so a very generous sprinkling of eggshells. I postponed finishing this video. I got sidetracked the other day when I opened it to just feed it right now. I will show you. There are some worms climbing on the actual lid. It is very, very moist in here. So once we give this feeding, I'm going to top it with a lot of dry bedding to see if we can dry it out some so they'll stop exploring on us, and I might even leave the zipper open a little bit as well to let it air out a bit. Alright, so I've got a nice big pot I thawed all my food out in. I'm just going to actually plop this in here for a second. I'm not going to feed all of this. Some of this is going to go to my other bins. But I'm just going to give a thin layer of food all across the top. I drained some of the liquid off, and I'm squeezing some out as I go here as well. I'm not going to feed overly aggressively just because it's concerning to me that it's so moist in here. This banana, I'm sure, will be a huge hit. And I'll scooch a little bit of this food over once I move my pot out of the way. But I think this should be pretty good for these guys. Let me move this pot out of the way. And I think this feeding is probably only about a pound. but since I fell behind on my updates, they haven't been fed in a while. I want to make sure that they get into it quickly enough so we don't end up having an outbreak of bugs. So let's shred up some cardboard and we will layer this whole top and leave it for a week and see how it goes. I was doing so much shredding, my shredder overheated, but I did get a nice thick layer on top of the food and then the little areas around the side. I just hand shredded up some cardboard. That will break down fine in here. So I'm hoping that this will help to dry it out, and since the feeding isn't too large, it shouldn't heat up or release too much moisture. So hopefully all of this dry bedding can absorb all the excess in the system. And I'm going to leave our zipper down here open a couple of inches, and that'll also allow for some extra airflow while we dry this thing out. So drop your comments below, like this video, subscribe if you'd like some more content from me, and I will be back with you guys real soon for an update.